Since the Columbine shooting of 1999, at least 141 individuals have died in attacks at schools in the United States. In 2018, analysis by the Washington Post found that, through the month of May, more people had died in schools in the United States than were killed in military service. To slow down this atrocious trend, it is imperative to understand the various factors which ultimately lead a young individual to cut short their classmates' lives. In general, school shooters usually possess a low social status, exemplified by bullying and sexual rejection, coupled with mental health issues, and are failed by our schools' inadequate counseling services, immense media coverage post-attack, and the ease of firearm accessibility. In the adolescent years, one's social life is extremely important. In 2017, Catherine Farr, a PhD in sociology, examined 31 school shooters and found that failed masculinity was a factor in all of them. In 28 cases, the individual was on the receiving end of emasculating bullying by their male peers. Jose Reyes wrote prior to his school shooting, "You say mean things in school, that I'm gay, that I'm lazy. Well, that all ends today." Additionally, Farr observed that in most cases, the offender suffered from some sort of sexual repudiation. It then follows that these young men seek out methods to prove their manliness. Often, following the purchase of a gun, these individuals would experience a surge in self-esteem. Eric Harris wrote upon purchasing his first firearm, "I feel confident, stronger, and more godlike." After the initial buzz wears off, they move to demonstrate their power. Through this study, Catherine Farr demonstrated that a failure to fulfill masculinity's requirements can lead to overcompensating behavior, which can ultimately include attacking on their antagonizing peers. But there's more at hand here than just social status. Peter Langman, one of the country's premier experts in school shootings with a PhD in psychology, established a typology of school shooters and found that all can be classified into one of three categories: psychotic, psychopathic, and traumatized. According to Langman, a psychopath displays narcissism, a lack of conscious and empathy, and deception. Psychotic shooters are typically schizophrenic and suffer from symptoms such as auditory hallucinations and paranoid delusions. Finally, traumatization refers to childhoods filled with abuse, neglect, and abandonment. The presence of one or multiple of these traits creates the psychological background for a potential school shooter. Of course, the simple existence of these aspects isn't all that is required. The actual thought of committing this offense must be planted, then grow and manifest until this individual is convinced. Dr. Frank J. Roberts studied the journals of a few specific school shooters and found some important conclusions. He claims that almost everybody has imagined vengeful scenarios, even murderous ones. However, what is unaffecting to a healthy mind may overwhelm a less balanced one. Once inspired, a disturbed adolescent may slowly tumble into an elaborate fantasy world that dominates his mental state, causing him to dissociate from the real world, which only furthers their social issues. Then, the individual may one day flip and decide to actually make their dreams a reality. Finally, while these sociological and psychological circumstances can create a potentially violent young man, there are certain policies and political failures which might fail to stop or even encourage a shooting. Across all schools in the United States, the average ratio of students to counselors is 468 to 1, which is far higher than the ASCA recommendation of 250 to 1. Furthermore, 1 in 5 students don't even have access to a student counselor at all. Additionally, studies have shown that immense media coverage makes a future shooting more likely. One in 2015 found that after a mass shooting, there's an increased chance of another one occurring in the next 13 days. Even as pressures urging the media to refrain from naming shooters or describing their lives or motivations have increased, significant coverage changes have yet to be made. Lastly, this presentation would be remiss if I didn't mention the unparalleled access to firearms in the United States. In America, there are nearly 400 million guns, with 40% of Americans either owning a gun themselves or living with someone who does. While there exist teenagers with similar social and psychological issues in other nations, there's a reason why school shootings are almost an exclusively American matter. School shootings are one of the most disheartening events that can occur in our society. A deranged individual with a myriad of issues violently ending the lives of innocent teenagers, teachers, and faculty. Fortunately, potentially helpful solutions are out there, and with the increased prevalency of these incidences, are becoming more likely to be implemented. However, there are simple steps that you as an individual can take. Be a nice person. Don't bully. And the next time you see someone who looks down, maybe try and pick them up. You never know what a person might be going through, and the smallest act of kindness might just make a big difference. Have a good day.